The year is 1808. As the morning mist lifts from the jagged silhouettes of the Tijuca Mountains, the Guanabara Bay reveals a sight that defies the logic of the century. A fleet of frost-battered Portuguese ships, carrying 15,000 souls from the highest echelons of European nobility, drops anchor in a tropical harbor. In this moment, the trajectory of the Americas shifts. Rio de Janeiro is no longer a colonial outpost exporting sugar and gold. It has become the only city in the New World to serve as the capital of a European empire. At the turn of the century, Rio is a city of roughly 60,000 people, but within 2 decades, that number will more than double. It is a place of explosive vertical tension, squeezed between the emerald wall of the rainforest and the deep blue of the Atlantic. It is the lungs of the South Atlantic trade, a geopolitical pivot point where the old world's desperate royalty meets the raw, unbridled energy of the tropics. We begin our descent at the water's edge, at the Largo do Passo, now Praça 15. To look at this square is to see the city's nervous system. The ground is a patchwork of uneven cobblestones, slick with the humidity that never truly leaves the air. Dominating the space is the Passo Imperial, the former governor's palace. It is a modest 3-story stone structure with whitewashed walls and dark wooden window frames. Portuguese Chao-style architecture that feels strangely sober against the flamboyant greenery of the surrounding hills. But its function has transformed. No longer just an administrative office, it is now the residence of Prince Regent Dom João VI. The square is a theater of social friction. Here, the high and low of the empire collide. We see a carriage with the Braganza crest struggling to navigate through a crowd of ganadores, porters carrying immense crates of coffee and sugar on their heads. The air is thick with the scent of brine, rotting fruit, and the heavy, sweet aroma of tobacco being loaded into nearby warehouses. In 1818, this square becomes the stage for the coronation of Dom João VI. The silence of the usual morning trade is replaced by the thunder of cannons from the nearby Fortaleza de Santa Cruz. A temporary wooden gallery, draped in silk and gold leaf, is erected to allow the public to witness the monarch. It is a moment of profound cognitive dissonance, a medieval European ritual performed under a sun so fierce it wilts the velvet robes of the bishops. Moving away from the water, we slip into the narrow shade of Rua do Ouvidor. If the Largo do Passo is the city's heart, the Ouvidor is its vanity. The street is so narrow that the balconies of the houses almost touch, creating a permanent twilight even at noon. This is the street of the modistas and the joalheiros. Since the opening of the ports in 1808, French luxury has flooded the city. We pass shops with glass windows, a novelty in a city that used to hide behind wooden lattices, muxarabis. Inside, the elite examine Parisian silks and porcelain, while outside, the street is a chaotic stream. The sounds here are different. The heavy thud of the port is replaced by the rhythmic tap-tap of walking sticks on stone and the constant musical cries of the street vendors. A woman carrying a tray of doses, sweets, calls out in a melodic chant, her voice rising above the chatter of French diplomats and Portuguese bureaucrats. The heat is stifling, trapped by the tall buildings, smelling of expensive perfumes and the damp, earthy odor of the mud that collects in the gutters after the inevitable afternoon rainstorm. We move inland, following the sound of rushing water. Emerging from the dense colonial grid, we find ourselves standing before the Aqueduto da Carioca, the Great Arcos da Lapa. It is a colossal structure of lime and stone, 2 tiers of brilliant white arches that bridge the gap between the Santa Teresa and Santo Antonio hills. In the 1800s, this is not a monument. It is a vital organ. It brings the fresh, cool waters of the Carioca River from the mountains directly into the city's fountains. At the base of the arches, the scale is overwhelming. The stone feels cool to the touch, vibrating slightly with the movement of the water above. This is the city's most democratic space. Around the Chafariz da Carioca, the fountain, hundreds of people gather. We see the lavaderas, laundresses, with bundles of linen, and the aguadeiros, water carriers who fill heavy wooden barrels to deliver to the mansions of the uphill districts. There is a constant tension here. Water is a scarce resource, and arguments break out over the order of the line. The air is misty from the splashing water, providing a rare, cool respite from the 35 degrees Celsius heat. To understand the city's defense and its origins, we must fly to the summit of Morro do Castelo. From this height, the 19th century observer sees the logic of the terrain. The hill is a fortress, home to the Church of San Sebastian and the ancient Jesuit college. The view from here is panoramic. To the east, the mouth of the bay is guarded by the granite sentinels of the Sugarloaf. To the west, the city sprawls out like a spilled ink blot, its red-tiled roofs forming a jagged sea. Life on the hill is slower, more traditional. The smell here is of wood smoke and dried salt fish. The elite who live below rarely climb these steep, winding paths, but the residents here, soldiers, artisans, and the clergy, look down upon the growing metropolis with a sense of detached authority. In the mid-1800s, this hill will become the center of a tragic irony. As the city modernizes, this cradle of Rio will be seen as a source of disease, a place where the air stagnates, leading to the devastating yellow fever outbreaks that haunt the latter half of the century. Leaving the cramped, humid center, we move several miles north to the Quinta da Boa Vista. Originally a private estate donated to the Prince Regent, it has become the Palacio de São Cristóvão. The transition is jarring. We leave the salt in the crowd for the smell of damp earth, jasmine, and the overwhelming green of the Atlantic forest. The palace is a neoclassical dream, its long facade painted a pale ochre, surrounded by vast gardens designed in the English style. Here, the Emperor Pedro I, and later Pedro II, seek refuge from the political noise of the Largo do Passo. The silence is broken only by the screech of tropical birds and the crunch of gravel under the boots of the Imperial Guard. It is here that the botanical sciences take root. The nearby botanical garden, established by Dom João VI, introduces the first tea plants and the majestic imperial palms that will eventually line every major avenue in the city. The palace is not just a home, it is a museum in the making. Inside, the rooms are filled with fossils, mineral samples, and ethnographic artifacts, a testament to a monarch who preferred the company of scientists to that of generals. The Rio of the 1800s is a city defined by the tigre. Every night, when the bells of the Candelaria Church fall silent, the tigers, enslaved men carrying large ceramic vats of waste on their shoulders, march toward the sea to dump the city's refuse. The name comes from the way the waste would spill and dry in stripes on their backs. It is a haunting nightly ritual that reminds us that this European capital is built on a foundation of immense human suffering and a total lack of modern infrastructure. When the summer storms hit, the aguas de marzo, the city transforms. The narrow streets become rivers. The lower parts of the city, like Cidade Nova, turn into marshes. We see the elite being carried in palanquins, enclosed chairs, by servants, hovering just inches above the muddy torrents. The smell of the city changes instantly, the rain washing away the stench of the day, replaced by the ozone and the scent of the nearby mountains. Today, if we walk the streets of Rio, much of this 19th century world has been erased by the 20th century's progress. The Morro do Castelo was leveled in 1922. its earth used to fill in parts of the bay. The Paso Imperial stands as a cultural center, dwarfed by the glass skyscrapers of the financial district. The Arcos de Lapa no longer carry water, but instead serve as a bridge for the iconic yellow tram and a backdrop for the city's nightlife. Yet, the 1800s remain in the city's DNA. They are in the alignment of the streets, the placement of the squares, and the resilient spirit of a city that was born from the collision of 3 continents. The shadow of the empire still lingers in the formal gardens of the Quinta and the grand, decaying facades of the old warehouses in the port. Watching these digital reconstructions, seeing the light flicker across a vanished cobblestone street, or hearing the phantom cry of a 19th century vendor brings a profound sense of melancholy. To see Rio as it was, a strange, beautiful, and difficult hybrid of Lisbon and the jungle, is to realize how much of the world's texture has been smoothed over by time. One can only imagine the sheer sensory overload of stepping off a ship in 1815. The blinding white of the stone, the deafening noise of the port, and the realization that you have found a piece of Europe nestled impossibly in the heart of the tropics.